What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Canes Inside Daily podcast powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. We're doing two-a-days here. We got the Mike Ryan show coming up at 2. We want to do a morning show for all the sickos out there that can't get enough Canes football talk, and we're bringing in the big dogs, some of the top supporters of the program, the people who really, really know. You always hear people say, I got a guy, I got a guy, I got a guy. These are the guys right here. These are the people that you don't see always, but that know what's going on, and we want to bring them to you with Seth Cooker and Jose, the Orchid Man. You already know. So it's gonna be a lot of fun here as we get ready, and also Pete on this year in a second. First, I want to talk about some folks that definitely know what's going on. That is Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. If you or someone you care about has been injured in an accident, you could be entitled significant compensation. Dial 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Take back control of your life. Before we hop in, Pete, if you want to hop in, you want to hop around, you want to grab some boards, you want to be active. Probably know how hard it is to sit on the injured list. Maybe you even try to hack your own rehab, come back early. But if compromising your movement or performance is not an option, you want to come back 110%. Recover your game with the University of Miami Sports Medicine Institute. Whether it's elite competition, Athletics, Sports, or everyday movement, just getting around, moving fast, being active. The University of Miami Sports Medicine Institute is the trusted choice for those who demand excellence. Set an appointment today at uhealthsports.com. All right, Pete, hop in.
Good morning, D. How are we feeling?
Feeling excellent, man. I like the double show today. We got a live crowd here as we got Orchid Man here working back, trying to find the right angle, the right lighting for his tan as he fiddles around here in the studio. But yeah, man, I'm feeling awesome, man. How you doing?
Doing well, man. Doing very well. It's obviously the dog's excited too, but yeah, man, we got the short week here. So after those 2 buys in 3 weeks, and then just talking to Amon yesterday, that always gets me fired up for the game. And then we got some, like you said, we got some heavy hitters here with us today who will be joining us in just a moment.
Yeah, no, appreciate Lord Baconton as always. Big Mo, appreciate you. Go Canes. Rob Duke saying D finally got the haircut. Shout out to Oliver at Golden Touch, best barber in Miami, the official barber of the University of Miami. All right, so I'm talking about him. Let's bring him in. You know who they are. You've seen them before. Seth Cooker, big-time Canes booster and marketing extraordinaire. And then the Orchid Man himself, the landscape artisan, the top landscape artisan in South Florida. How we doing, boys?
Doing great.
Morning,
How about you?
Pete. Morning, Pete.
This is heaven, man. We got the baseball scrimmage here at 10:45. Weather is perfect. Canes are favored by 2 touchdowns for the rest of the year, and we're undefeated. I mean, life does not get better than this. So just kind of knocking on wood. I'm going to start with Seth because we haven't talked to him in a while. So Seth, just kind of your thoughts. Again, you were there in practice during camp. You saw the scrimmages. You saw the team sort of had their ups and downs come together. From everything you've seen, just kind of where are you at with this program as we sit here 5-0?
I mean, like everybody in K Nation, we're all pretty ecstatic. I mean, who could not be? We were all talking about, if we split Notre Dame in Florida, we'd be happy. And now we're talking 5-0 and making our ACC run. The biggest, I think I've heard you say this, but the biggest surprise for me by far is you and I saw, Peter saw, Malachi Tony, catching the ball a lot during all these practices. But what I didn't expect is this pure speed that he's shown on the field, the breakaway speed, and that's been amazing for us to watch. And he's only just turned 18. It's really remarkable. Other than that, it's been practices how they're playing. It's really what we saw for the most part, which is great. And it's great to see, and I think we'll see it more now a little bit, is the younger guys getting to play. I think I had mentioned, the Bethune game when all those young guys came in. That was the first time probably in 2 decades that I waited and I stayed and watched the younger guys, because we actually had younger guys to watch and to see how they were going to play. So it's exciting. It's really exciting to be a Cane fan right now.
All right, I'm going to switch to the Orchid Man. My guy Derek Hucks, he came up with this, Jose. What do you think? It's ORCHID Man. So that's been the new slogan right there. I don't know if you remember the old Hall & Oates song Wu-Tang song. That's the remix for you right there. But you're going to be hanging around the Hecht all day, so I know you're plugged in. Just where are you at after seeing the FSU game and how Miami handled business?
We look good, D. I mean, I'm going to tell you, I continue to be impressed by the professional manner of the team, how mature they're acting, how they're buying into Mario's, coaching and motivation, and trying to keep that rat poison out of the building. We've been talking about since the Notre Dame game of how, this team is a different team. This team is not the teams of the past. How mature, how they only want to play football, how they want to continue to get better, and you can see it. I tell you, we're 5 weeks in. Have you felt uncomfortable through 5 weeks for 1 minute? I haven't felt uncomfortable.
I gotta say, I didn't feel too good when Florida State lined up for that onside kick last week.
But did you feel uncomfortable from that side?
No, I mean, listen. We've talked about it. They've been in control of these games. Obviously, you want them to pull away somewhat, a little bit more. I feel like that could be the case, but I could be nitpicking there. I know that obviously there is an element of we're trying to kind of tighten these games up and not, give a chance to have these turnovers that could be, explosive and flip the game the other way. But me personally,
There's a happy medium.
And we talked about this yesterday, D. I think we look at some of these Alabama teams of the past that we understand that it's not going to be the same depth now NIL wise, but the way that they were able to kind of carry games out without changing how they really played, and you just let the young guys run it, and you don't really scale anything back necessarily. But we've had this discussion. That's Jose, to your point. It's never really felt like the game was getting away from Miami necessarily.
And look, last year, and again, last year we had Cam. I heard Cam last year say multiple times, when we get everything, when we play all together and we play a complete game, we're going to be unstoppable. This is what happened, is that the only game that we played last year that was a complete game was Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We never, as good as the year was last year, we never played a complete game. This year's team seems and feels much different. We have control on both sides of the ball. We can run it, we can throw it, we can stop the run, we can stop the pass. We can,
Well, I'll get Jose back here in a second. But Seth, you were here I think you were at both scrimmages, right? The last two scrimmages, if I recall. So if I just looking back, it feels like it was like a year ago with all the games have been played. But I remember one of those scrimmages, and I'm speaking really of the first team, going against the first team, right? The guys we see on Saturdays. I recall one of those scrimmages, Miami completely stopped the run. And then one of those scrimmages, Miami ran the ball, particularly Jordan Lyle, really, really well. Pringle also. And I remember thinking, like, are we just weak against the run? Are we weak against are we just really good at running the ball? Like, it's going back and forth. What does that mean? And through a few games, when you see Jeremiah Love getting stopped, FSU's running game getting stopped, when you see just, Miami's ability to really bottle up, Jaden Baugh didn't do anything really. So Miami's ability to stop the run, and then, of course, the running game looking just like it did last year. It seems like what we saw in the scrimmages before the season was really a back and forth between two really good units.
And you look at what we did against, how we played against Florida and how Florida played against Texas. Texas was the preseason #1 team in the country. If we had to play Texas today, we would still. I don't feel uncomfortable playing against any opponent this year. We've seen Ohio State, we've seen Indiana, we've seen Texas and Clemson. we can stack up against anybody. It seems like,
100%. And I think that the players that we've spotted up, I mean, you're not going to get better, more explosive running backs than Love, than Ba. No, Pete's a big fan, and he is better than I was giving him credit for, but he didn't do anything against Miami FSU's running game. So I mean, we really did go against some top units and stop them. Got a big challenge this week with Chris Bell for Louisville, who I think might be the best receiver in the country. But Seth, just kind of picking up on our conversation as far as like seeing how it played out in camp and how it was different, then seeing it on the field. Now you have a little bit more of a kind of a comparison to say, all right, this is something that we saw in camp that was different, that is now played out on the field for the next time you're in camp. And you can say, you can kind of spot it. Like, what's something now, seeing the whole picture, that you could say, all right, this is something that was different in camp that has translated to the field. And now I know this is what it looks like when we're at camp going forward.
So let's move back 20 years. This was what would happen quite frequently, is offense would win one day, defense would win another day. Because we were scarred for 20 years, like you and I looked at it like, okay, so what do we have here? And we didn't really want to are we really like we were back in the good old days? But coaches would say, no, they would tell us, we would talk to them together and they'd be like, no, this is normal. This is good. This is, mano y mano. One day the offense says, no, we're not letting the defense take advantage of us. Next day, defense says, no more offense. So now looking back, okay, this is where we need to be. We need to have an offense and defense that do win certain days. It just depends on who's got a little bit more unks and anger at that particular day of practice. So yes, looking back, it did come to fruition. But when we were watching, we were all like, oh my gosh, what do we have here? We don't know. But now you see it. But I will say, I wanted to interject something that we were talking about a little bit before, is actually one of the best comments I've seen for a long, long time on any team, was that interview with Jacoby Thomas, when they asked him, what's the difference between this Miami team and, say, where you came from in Tennessee? And he's flat out said, because when we got to the locker room after the Florida State game, we were pissed. And that is what you want, because as fans, we were pissed, but you want the players to be pissed, because it shouldn't have gotten to that point.
It's exactly what Lord Baconton says here, agreeing with you totally. And I got to correct something. So Juan Manuel, as said, Chris, when I said Chris Bell's the best receiver in the country, is D Money on cannabis or oregano, maybe a can of BUZZN. I should have clarified that. Best draft eligible receiver in the country. Jeremiah Smith's the best player, period. We know that. But I'm really impressed with Chris Bell, number 0 for Louisville. It's not the best draft eligible class of receivers, and I'm a big fan of his. I know Pete is as well. But I want to ask you guys, because again, you guys have been long time loyal supporters of the program during lean years for the program, lean years for the athletic department, just tough times. You guys were there and you guys are still there. Now you have some success. There's a lot of very wealthy students or students from wealthy families coming into UM, I think more than ever, based on what I'm seeing in the admissions. And I'll let Pete kind of like give us the quote here, but there was a very prominent potential booster, UM parent, talking to our guy, Steve Kim, who we'll talk to tomorrow on the Thursday show, like always. But this is Dana White, the president of the UFC, many million air over. I don't know if he's close to $1 billion yet. He'll probably get there soon. But somebody who is a promoter by nature. He likes to be in front of the camera, and he's been very happy to promote UM, wear the UM stuff. Pete, I'll throw it to you because I know you have the quote in front of you, but I want to get your guys' thoughts. And let's start with Seth and move up to Jose as far as just like what has been there for a while, now getting some help. So Pete, let's see the quote.
You breaking up there. I don't know if it was something on my end, but I can play the video if you want. I don't think we'll get hit by our boy Steve Kim.
Yeah, if Steve hits us copyright, we'll have to call it. Yeah, but play the video.
So I'm gonna play it here. And again, this is the 3 Knockdown Rule podcast, Steve's boxing pod. So hold on a second. Let me make sure that I think I might have kept the audio off of it. Give me a second here. Sorry.
There you go. Let's go here. I got this text from OrchidMan this morning, so I know it's going.
All right, here we go.
On behalf of the Miami Hurricane fan base, we saw you out there at the Notre Dame game. I know your daughter now is part of the U. I'm going out there Friday for the Louisville game. The fan base would rip me if I didn't ask you this. Will you be making a sizable donation to the NIL fund? Because that kid's graduating next year. We're going to need a new quarterback.
More than likely, the answer is yes.
Right.
I went to my first game, the Notre Dame game, and I met everybody and started I think I'm getting positioned to get hit up for. I see it coming. I see the writing on the wall. But it's funny. So I'm huge Boston Patriots, Celtics, Red Sox. I've never been a fan of a college team ever. So this is like my first college experience, and I'm really looking forward to it. And could I come in at a better time? I mean, they're ranked number 2.
I know. Soon to be number 1.
Yep, I love it.
I love how Mario Lopez tried calling Steve out and telling him it was like a stupid question, and Dana was all for it.
So Seth, I wanted to start with you because I know you talk to people, and because your kids were just there at UM. I know you've talked to people in administration, admissions related people, and just you got a sense of what's going on. I mean, something like this where Dana's one of really many kind of wealthy parents, and that's just the guys in the spotlight that we know of. Bezos' stepkid, I think Ari Emanuel or one of the Emanuel's kid. Again, that's just the famous kind of people. Of course, Trump's granddaughter next year, and then plenty of people behind the scenes that you don't see. Is there a movement where there's a lot of just juice behind this program, or is that something that we're just seeing on the outside? Like, what is really happening at UM?
I think that they are, and this is from obviously conversations, but there's a lot of optimism. I mean, we've always had semi-famous or famous people. I remember like the era of FedEx, his son, I think actually was on the football team, and that didn't come to fruition. But here you have obviously the team winning. You have Mario, and Mario doesn't have to sell that. Mario just be himself. It sells the team. So you have these people, their kids are coming here. The school in itself is positioned. There's a political dynamic in the country, and it actually filters down to schools. And so schools that are in the middle are getting a lot of kids because some parents don't want to send them to certain areas. And when you combine that to a very good education, obviously, in a city of Miami, there's a lot going for Miami, University of Miami, and it's kind of combined. It's always been combined. And so when Miami is booming, the university starts to boom. When the football team, especially the way it's doing now, that's what started the school, to be honest with you. Back in the early 80s, applications went up because the team was up. Same reason why people go to Georgia or Alabama. It definitely brings in students. So now you have tons of students wanting to come, but you could be very selective because of the type of institution that you have. And everything goes together. So there's a lot of pride right now. There's a lot of pride in the university, a lot of pride in the academics. And it's not even just football, but football obviously is the big dog. So it's been fun. And then the NIL also, it's funny. So it's not funny, but NIL brings a different way to donate than the old way. The old way is just a charitable contribution. But NIL, you can write it off in your business as advertising, which again, more people, more businesses, more big people are inclined to do that because actually with the big, beautiful bill, donations are actually capped. Here, if you don't have to worry about that, you're going to be actually advertising. So there's a lot of things going in the right direction. And as long as we win, it definitely helps. And I think they do see some of these people more than just Dana White coming in and bolstering the program. So it's definitely a good day to be UM, not just what we see on the field, but also behind the scenes. There's a lot of optimism.
OrchidMan, you sent me the link right when it happened, so I know you're fired up. What are you seeing with everything going on?
To piggyback on what Seth's saying, I think it's a microcosm of the city. Miami today is an evolving city with a lot of new, fresh capital, a lot of Wall Street money, a lot of lawyers, a different level of money, and I think when you see that influx of money and you see an administration again who has their shit together, who is able to capitalize and pony these people to give money, I think you're going to see more of these Dana Whites. Dana White set himself up because now he's going to have to give money because he just set himself up. So now it's just a matter of how much he's going to give, right? But I got that email from somebody in the administration. I mean that tweet. So they're on it more than ever. And to piggyback on what Seth was saying, the FedEx guy had plenty of money, but our administration was such a disaster back then that they were never able to capitalize on somebody like Fred Smith. The guy's a billionaire. That guy should have given $50 million to the university. They're all over Dana White and through affiliates of people that are very involved already with the university. They're going to make a splash with Dana. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, one guy I want to highlight just because he is one of the best supporters of the program, just dudes in general. Dan Lambert, who owns.
I was gonna say that.
Yeah,
I was gonna say.
you were hinting at it there. Dan Lambert from American Top Team. Obviously, he's very involved in the mixed martial arts scene. Has a relationship with Dana from that. But this guy is a long time, huge supporter, doesn't seek the spotlight, even though, which is funny because he's like a forward facing guy. He was in wrestling for a while doing promos, but he's not somebody that seeks out attention. Which really
he was one of the first. He was one of the first people to donate an annual large sum to the NIL fund before the collective was really organized. And
it was like $500 per player.
I had to do a lot of those deals. It was every single player on the team per $500 a month.
Yeah, a month.
And that was before these. That was when NIL first. Because remember, I was an NFL and NIL agent at the time, and how these deals were first supposed to be designed were the local companies, the mom and pop. But Dan was one. It was Dan, and then it was a BYU. I think it was Built Bar, which was a BYU, grad, and they basically were the first people to give like team-wide deals like that. And that was a huge. I think it was $500K plus a year commitment that he had made at the time, and he was really at the forefront of it. Again, when the collective concepts were still being developed, and came shortly thereafter. Obviously, John Ruiz, his involvement, was very publicly known as well. But Dan Lambert, I agree, deserves a ton of credit there.
Yeah, he deserves a lot. He deserves a ton of credit, and he's very behind the scenes. I agree with D. He doesn't seek the spotlight, but he's a force.
So we got a lot of comments here I want to get to for both you guys to get your thoughts on. So PSL can't appreciate you. He's saying what you guys have said. When you have a proof of concept and identity as a team and a true leader at the helm, it's easier to support this team in their future. Also, the NIL is going to get handled by Canes Connection, which they've proven what they can do. The coaches have proven what they can do with the money. And then, of course, Echeverria at the top. So it just, it's people have been giving for a while at different levels, but it's a lot better to give when you're given for to people that are going to handle it responsibly and effectively, and I think that's something you're seeing. But I want to get this question for both of you guys. Let me start with Seth, and then move on to OrchidMan here. By the way, we got over 1,500 on right now on a Monday morning show. I mean, that's for 926, Pete. That's huge numbers. They know that OrchidMan and Seth are on, so the people are lining up. This is like really high numbers for this time of day. So shout out to you guys. But let's start with Seth. M. Milan saying, "Dear boosters, what can we do as alumni and fans to contribute towards the football team? What's the best way and most important thing we need from your experience with these contributions?" And I'll supplement that, Seth, because Canes Cat asks, "How are you getting a tax write-off if you donate to the collective? Please explain to another donor." So with that, I'll give it to you.
So whether it's $50 or $50 million, right now NIL is the big thing. It's Canes Connection, which is, Deed says it all the time, they're so extremely well run. They're a machine, and they appreciate, like I said, from even $5. Whatever you can give is appreciative. As far as the tax, yeah. So basically, the way it's worded when you do NIL is, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but basically, what it is that the NIL is players doing their own brand. So they get involved with the collective, and the collective says, okay, we're going to do a signing, and that signing is for the team store. The team store is getting advertising. So whatever the players are doing, they're being compensated for. So that's why it's an advertising cost, because you're actually supplementing, you're paying for the advertising of whatever players. It could be a group of players. You can narrow it down that, hey, I want Carson Beck to be, I want to do my NL to him, and I want him to do a commercial for me. So it goes quite large, from small to large. Most people just put it into the collective and let them see fit how they're going to put out those funds, but it is advertising dollars. You're paying basically for the. Go ahead, Peter.
And I don't mean to cut you off, but I just want to clarify for the people out there. From what I'm understanding, you're talking about if someone says, "Hey, I have a company," right? Because for people who aren't aware that you can do this, and I know this because I've helped connect some. You can, if you are a local business owner or you're a booster, you can go to Canes Connection, and they can basically facilitate the deal for you. If you say, "Hey, I want some offensive linemen," right? I'm giving XYZ. What can we do, right? So you're still doing it through Canes Connection, but they are facilitating the deal for you, and it's
Correct.
different than just, "Hey, here's some money that I want to donate." So that's because, remember, Seth, there's some people out there who may just try to like reach out to a player or their representative and stuff.
You have to go through.
You can do that, but going through Canes Connection makes this process a lot more streamlined for you,
and much more kosher, as they say.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So Jose, what do you think as far as like ways? Obviously, we have the link here for canesconnection.com/CIS. Seth really just explained, and we got a lot of great comments in the chat. People are loving this. Seth explained how, for a business like both you guys have your own small businesses, how that could, have a tax deductible donation to Canes Connection, or donation is the wrong word, marketing relationship with Canes Connection. Just in general, Jose, you as someone who, like Seth, has been part of this for a long time, what's your message to the fans that are watching this?
Every dollar counts, and you can't underestimate what your contribution does to the whole kitty of Canes Connection. And I think, when you look at the University of Miami today to where we were in 2021, I knew this, and we've talked about this a few times, is that once the bandwagon starts to get going, it's unstoppable, right? But it's not about the bandwagon. We have to look at what Mario has built, is building, and will continue to build here over the next decade. People forget that Miami has always been a stopping ground for head coaches to go to the NFL or to go to the next big thing. And people need to realize that the big thing is us. The next big thing is Miami. And people need to support day in and day out what Mario and that staff are doing, because they're doing big things. This recruiting class is going to be a big thing in the next 2 months, and people need to support the Canes Connection. And I think it'd be a great idea to bring Zach, onto the podcast and have him really explain to the on your podcast and to the fans exactly how this works, because I know how accessible he is, and he'll be more than willing to come out and really spend some time with you guys and explain to the fans the benefit of what their dollar does to help us win on a consistent basis.
Yeah, Zach is the absolute best. That's why I think, we've been saying this is the best collective in football for a while. I think you're seeing the results on the field, so you could take my word for it. But yeah, we try to get. You don't have to take my word for it. I'm sorry, you don't. You can just watch it. We've been trying to get Zach on for a while. He's a little shy. He's always on the golf course with the president and different candidates. So he's a pretty busy guy, but we're working on it. I'm gonna text him right now.
Let's make it happen. Well, let's make it happen.
So listen, I got
final question. One thing. Sorry.
Oh yeah,
please,
one
thing about collective and our coaching staff and how well they work together. You, Dean, and Peter, we all spoke about this, that our last recruiting class, I think, was ranked around 10 or something like that. But yet, if you speak to our coaches, they're like, you look back 4 or 5 years from the future, going backwards, and they're going to say this might be our best class, that they hit home runs on just about, if not everyone, they feel on that class. And that's evaluation. And then they take that evaluation and they say, okay, this is what we think each player should be worth. And it's a job. It's not easy. They have to figure out who they're going to keep, who they're going to maybe let go because they're not worth the money, who they're going to bring in. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes. And we definitely have the best NIL and the best coaching staff and evaluating working together. And so that's what we're saying. Everything helps. So the more that you can give them, they're not just going to frivolously spend it. They're going to use that money wisely. And the more they have in the bank, the better off that they can be. So they don't get, say, in the case of, let's say, Jeremiah Smith, they don't get outbid. And I'm not saying that's what happened, but there was a lot of money going around during that time. And so you're giving them the resources they need. So if they have to go after a specific guy that they say, this is the guy, that they have it.
And it's not it's not a perfect science, right? I mean, listen, at the end of the day, you're talking about 16, 17, 18-year-olds. So it's very difficult to sit here and to think the staff's going to hit a home run 100% of the time. And there's going to be a season where we miss on a guy. And that's the way it is. But look, I'll give you an example of Samson, right? Samson has been around here for 3 years. The guy hasn't played. But you know what? The staff saw something in him at the time that they thought could develop into something big. Did he turn out to be CC from day one? No. But Samson's playing heavy snaps. Samson's going to be a great player next year. He may be a great player in 2 years from now, because kids develop at different moments. And as a fan base, all we can do is be consistent. And by being consistent, it means giving consistently to the program. I believe in these guys, and I'll say it again. I've said it 900 times. I believe in these guys. I believe in this staff. We are in the best position that we have ever been. And I love what Mario says. We're not going back. We're not going back. We're going forward. And we're going forward in a new era. And that era of the 80s and 90s, great era, great time. Great time to be alive, like I say. But what he is projecting, what he is doing as a staff, how he's forging this new era of Kings football is exciting.
That's the U part 3. Well, the NIL will be a big part of it. Last questions for both of you guys before I let you go. And I have a specific question for each of you guys. But first, I'll answer a question quick from Kirk. Probably sending this from Duffy's right now. He's asking how much NIL money, or how does NIL money get distributed across all athletic teams? Who makes the final call? Fluid process. Here's what I'll say. It is not a political answer. It's the truth. And I'll give you stats to back it up. The football, I think you all know that NIL is going to football. You see it on the field. Baseball had the most transfers of any team in the country last year. The most. And you saw the results where there were a couple runs away from Omaha after having a losing season the year before, one of the least talented rosters they ever had. So clearly baseball is benefiting. And in basketball, we'll see how they perform, but they have a whole new team, and we're excited about what we've heard and seen. There's a lot of buzz about some of these guys internationally, 5 stars from the United States, etc. So guys who have produced in college. So go ahead.
Let me say something about that, how it's spread out. Football's king. And everybody in that school knows who is king. Now, there are donors in basketball who are basketball donors, and I think what he's doing, what Jay's doing, and what those coaches are doing is is good. And I think Miami basketball is going to be very competitive this year, and I think they're going to be very competitive in the path, in the future. I think women's basketball, believe it or not, has some donors that are helping.
Top 5 portal class for the women's basketball.
Baseball's NIL budget last year, I know very well, was a pittance when you think about what it is to compete at an SEC level in baseball, which LSU and Arkansas and all those teams have $5-6 million budgets just for baseball. Tennessee, so Miami's budget was less than $1 million last year for NIL. Now, going forward, as you win, as you get competitive, those numbers are going to expand. And I think at the end of the day, you have to remember that even volleyball. I mean, let's talk about volleyball for a second. They had won 15 games in a row. Everybody is benefiting from this new era of money. The issue is that you can't forget that who's the golden goose, and the golden goose is Canes football.
Almost 2,200 on a Wednesday morning. Again, they heard Seth and OrchidMan were in the building, and the numbers are off the charts. I'm serious. But Seth, I want to ask you this before I let you go, which is, you have a different. You have the supporter side, the fan side. Also, as a parent, your son right now, Josh Cooker, at puts out great videos, as we've seen some of his highlights. So he's living the experience as a student that you lived, where the team's doing well. Just from that perspective, because you have that insight, like the student experience during this run, like what are you seeing? Because I know you lived it because you were here during a glory period, right? Pete didn't get to have the experience because he was there when they were down. So like just seeing the difference it makes for students at like how you were able to experience the good times. I mean, what are you seeing there from the experiences of your son?
So I'm the same year as Mario. I graduated with Mario. So they won 2 national championships when I was there. And Mario brought, met like a luncheon with Mario, and my son was there. It was very intimate. And Mario promised Josh, and this is when he first got here. He's like, Joshua, before you graduate we're going to win a national championship. And we'd like, oh, please. Like, we're all like praying. But you know what? It's really remarkable. And the engagement of the students, it was like my son went to every game. My son is a fan born and bred like I am, coming from me. But the average student, no, they'd be like, we have a football team. It was kind of almost like a joke. We've been pretty bad for a while.
Got to hit those day parties, right?
Yeah, right. But now, I mean, they're actually, they're trying to get the school to, they have the buses that they're in the middle of the campus, but the fraternities are all on the other end. And so they're trying to get them to, they all want to go. There's a lot of participation. They want to be there more and more. Hey, have buses come to the fraternity side too. Let's get everybody going there. And if you even look at the games, and even for Bethune-Cookman, there are a lot of students there. There are a lot of students. So it's been great. He's been at it. He has a twin sister who loves doing football, but didn't necessarily make the trek. She's been making the trek. That's what winning breeds. And it's how we win too. It's the games are a lot of fun. So yeah, the students are great. I know merchandising is up, everything is up, and that's the way it is. I mean, Florida State and Clemson used to say, "Oh yeah, we have all the ratings." You had the ratings because you were winning, but Miami's Miami, and so Miami, even when we're bad, gets ratings. When we're good, they go off the charts because you either love us or you hate us. You watch us.
The brand moves the needle. The brand is real.
OrchidMan, before I let you go, and you guys have been generous with your time, we appreciate it. Again, the numbers are off the charts. I got to ask you, OrchidMan, because I've been getting this in the comments nonstop from our guy Canes Cat. He says, OrchidMan, I need the baseball scoop. He's been saying it over and over. So, we lost them. All right, we were going to have him. We lost him. We'll bring him back here in a second as we get ready for the
baseball
Canes
team's
Cats.
in trouble.
Yeah, you didn't want to get. All right, OrchidMan, back. Jose, you can hear us?
Yeah, I can hear. I was getting a phone call.
No worries. Everything good?
Yeah, all good.
Does somebody need the top landscape artisans in South Florida? Is that what's going on?
Maybe.
So this has been going on in the comments nonstop, and I got to give it to you before I let you go. It says Canes Cat Heat 305 says, OrchidMan, I need the baseball scoop. I'm going to be out there. Literally, I'm going to get off this. We'll finish our show, and then I'm going to bounce to the light. And I know you're going to stop by there later. You're going to be all over the heck today, but. First couple practices, we did a show with Sebastian. I like the physicality, like some of the things I'm seeing. What do you just your initial, so early, but some initial impressions that you have and have heard about this team.
Big, strong, physical. No fat, no little guys. Very, very, very big team. Absolutely am enamored with the infield of what that's going to look like. You know, pitching wise, some good freshmen, some big freshmen, especially that kid Peralta from New Jersey, big kid.
Yeah.
A lot of we'll see what happens with the pitching as fall ball comes through. But we're going to score a lot of runs, and we're going to hit a lot of home runs.
Yeah, and that's something, look, it's early, but something you could tell pretty fast is, like you said, big freshmen, transfers. You bring back Cuvée, a lot of big dudes out there, which is nice to see, man.
I've never understood why we were so small, right? I mean, you would go, I went to Virginia in the spring, and you saw Virginia's team, and I was talking to JD, I'm like, the size of these kids, they're huge, you know, and you look at our team, and our team was always so on the small side, but the kids that have come in, you know, through the portal and the freshmen are big. A couple, you know, we have a two-way guy, Dubanovic.
Dubovic.
Dubovic.
He pitched and hit on the last scrimmage.
Yeah, good. You know, he's a pitcher, he's a hitter. You know, he's a freshman, and this is the thing. The team is deeper than it's ever been. So some of these freshmen are going to have to really be patient and stay and, you know, continue to improve and get better, and not have to play right away, because, you know, the outfield is stacked, the infield is stacked. You know, there's very little room for some of these kids to be able to get into the lineup. So they're going to have to be, for the first time, patient. But I think, you know, I again, I don't want to get, you know, too excited, because it's only fall ball, but I think baseball is going to be in good shape.
Seth, I know you're a baseball fan. I've seen you out there many times. OrchidMan will be out there, but first things first, Friday, beat Louisville, and let's build this thing up and take this momentum and build something sustainable. So your grandkids, not just your kids, your grandkids are enjoying championships, and this thing is built to last every single year. Seth, OrchidMan, appreciate you so much. Thanks for
I want to leave you guys with just one thing. 2 years ago, when Cece was a freshman, I went to a cocktail where Mario was there, and he said, by the time Cece's a junior, we're going to compete for a national championship. And boys, we're going to compete for a national championship.
I love
All
it,
right.
baby. Listen, if you
Go
guys
Canes.
listen, you guys hear Mario's press conferences and you hear what he wants to say. These are the people that are talking to Mario for real and are giving you the real deal. So, Seth, OrchidMan, appreciate you guys. Thanks for the numbers.
Thanks, guys.
Go Canes.
500.
Go Canes.
Canes.
Go
Appreciate
Canes.
you guys. Oh, there we go. All right, we're good.
Sorry.
There you go. You fixed the screen.
Good stuff,
Nice,
man. Yeah.
Great segment.
Fired up.
Yeah, that was awesome. So yeah, I'll fire it up, man. So listen, you guys know this is what it is. You got.
I mean, listen, it's got to be
program.
cool for guys like them who have been, like we talk about, supporting this program for a while through the bad and now through the good, and then you see someone of Dana's magnitude come out and say that, and it's like it validates a lot of the stuff that they've done for the program. You know,
No doubt. It's been a long time coming. Some of the people have been doing it for a while. So shout out to both of those guys, man. They're the best. Actually, let's shout out OrchidMan specifically, because not only is he a big donor to the University of Miami, he is the top landscape artisan in South Florida. ORCHID Man, Landscape Artisans. Hello, Florida. There you go. It's not just the pretty work, which you get all that pretty work, as you could see, commercial property, residential property. It's also the dirty work, the stuff you don't want to think about. Maintenance, sprinkler repair, irrigation, rain gutters, hurricane prep, you name it, they do it. ORCHIDmanflorida.com. calm. He's passionate about it, detail oriented, and great customer service. That's OrchidMan Florida, ORCHID manflorida.com. And Pete, after we go to the light, or I go to the light, maybe if I can try to sneak this in before our 2:00 show with Mike. A little quick trip to East Las Canarias Cuban Express right there in the Dayland Mall Dining Pavilion, centrally located. 7 different types of croquetas, all the sandwiches, cubaritos, loaded fries, tostones, loaded tostones. Got soups, got all the pastries, the bowls, the juices, the coffees, the shakes. I mean, you name it, the desserts. It's one-stop shop at East Las Canarias Express. I don't know how they do all this stuff, but you see it's like a little stand there in the dining pavilion, and they have the full menu, and everything is prepared fresh and high quality. So if you want to go to the best Cuban restaurant on the planet, East Las Canarias Cuban Express. Yeah, a lot of love in the comments, man. Appreciate you guys. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And
listen, if that was the first time you guys have heard from OrchidMan, Jose, and Seth, they're regular contributors with us. So they both come on at least once every couple of weeks here. So
yeah, they're awesome, man. So Brandon saying no Mike Ryan. Mike Ryan at 2 p.m. So we're doing double 2-a-days today. We're doing the morning show. We're trying to keep more football and sports oriented. Then with Mike, we kind of go off the rails sometimes. I'm usually the culprit of that too. He's always trying to keep it football, and I'm the one pushing it off the rails. But we'll do both shows. So 2 p.m. the show with Mike Ryan there in studio. That's going to be a lot of fun. Pete, before we get out of here, I want to talk to you about, you dropped the work on your Discord. A lot of good stuff in there. People asking in the comments always about signing up for the Discord. Make sure that you tell them where to go and how to find it. There's a link right there.
Just drop the link right there. Yeah.
Yep. And there's a lot of stuff happening. Penn State, a little shakeup there. First thing when a coach of a major program leaves or gets fired or whatever, you go to the commitment list and you see what you like. And not just fans, but teams do that as well. So what are you hearing on that front?
Yeah, there was a D-line offer that went out, yesterday afternoon. Isaac Chukwura from Delaware, actually, verified 6'2", 265. This immediately was someone that Miami was very excited about watching the film. The D-line department there has done, I think, and you can back me up on this, I think has done a really good job with some of these like evaluations that have happened mid-season. I think same thing with like a Logan Nagel, who I mentioned him in the report to Logan Nagel, a guy that we've talked about a lot, has been down to Miami, as he told me a few weeks back. I think it was USF game that he was here for. And I just wonder, like, a guy like Chukwura coming into the mix now, what does that mean for someone like Nagel? Because Nagel's had an opportunity to commit now for a while. Obviously, he's committed to Pitt right now, but they're a big fan of this body type right here, D.
Delaware, I think back to Orion Harris. It's before your time, but somebody who, a 5-star that Miami picked up from this area. Yeah, he can move. Great lateral quickness. You could tell right off the top. I have his basketball highlights loaded, so I'm going to go to those. Good body type. You mentioned the long arms, 265 verified, but he's going to gain weight. Very twitchy, man. When I think about Penn State, I think about defensive freaks. Look at what Penn State's done over the years. I mean, obviously Micah Parsons, Abdul Carter. Then you talk about, they got Denny Sutton this year, who's good. Zane Durant, Florida guy, who's very explosive and talented, will play in the NFL. So Penn State does this. Feels like every single year. Yetur Gross Matos. I pulled up the stat that in the last 8 years, since 2018, so not even the 8 years, since 2018, James Franklin's produced 8 first-rounders and 10 second-rounders, just since 2018 alone. So, I mean, that's what he's doing as far as identifying talent. He's one of the best evaluators in the country. And this is somebody he evaluated. When you watch the film, yeah, the competition's a little light. We've gotten guys from Delaware that have produced at this position, so that's nothing new. But yeah, the size, the length, the twitchiness, I like what I'm seeing. I don't know what you're seeing, Pete.
Yeah, there was a kid on the West Coast, D, that Miami offered maybe like a month plus ago, that he reminds me of this kid that kind of had an interesting build. But you remember who I'm talking about? I can't remember his name. He had a huge, he was committed to like a smaller school, and Arizona State offered, a bunch of schools offered, but he kind of reminds me of him.
Yeah, from California.
Yeah, from Cali.
This guy might be a little bit. This guy's verified.
Van Spafford's teammate.
Right.
But I agree with you. The measurables here are better on from a verified standpoint. And just another nugget. They're trying to get him down here for the Stanford game. He told me yesterday that he is not sure yet what he's going to do. That he said he hasn't made any plans. I think the kid's just trying to process, Franklin's hiring and what's going on over there. But yeah, that was
he gets
nice.
off the ball fast.
No, I was told, man, that they think they were like, go watch this kid. Like he's got it. So I think this guy has immediately moved into that mix. And again, the reason I brought up Logan Nagel is they kind of play a similar role, right? I just think that, you start to bring other guys into the equation and then spots fill up.
Yeah, Logan Nagel, Pittsburgh commit. So trying to get into that Pennsylvania. And look, people say Pittsburgh's been producing guys. Penn State's been producing guys. You're talking about two, in my view, of the top evaluation schools in America when it comes at least to defensive linemen and defensive players in general. Kevin Dennis mentioned Chop Robinson, who I hadn't even talked about, but was definitely a major dude. So, yeah, it's the type of programs you want to be jumping on their commit list because they just know what it looks like. They have a good track record there, and then you watch the film, and it just looks like guys they've had in the past. I wanted to watch this, and I haven't seen it yet, so let's see. Hopefully he's good. But this is a double-double here. Let's see what it looks like on the court, Pete. Oh, nice post. Wait, here we go. Maybe the touch around the basket could use some work, but he's getting the rebounds. This is how you get double-double. You keep getting your own. You keep getting your own boards.
Yeah, nice flexibility, I guess, bending all the way down there and grabbing the ball.
Let's see. Yeah, he's only 6'2", so he's not the tallest guy. There you go.
Good box out.
Yeah, he's moving. He doesn't look that big. Yeah. I like the fact that he's verified because if I'm looking at this, I'm wondering how big he is. I think the other guys might be big. You said he's verified, confirmed 6'2", 265, right?
Yeah, and remember this was last. This is last basketball season, so a year ago almost, right? So
yeah.
So you know how these guys grow, but yeah,
nice
they're saying verified.
19 points, 11 boards, 2 steals, and a block. So he's producing.
John Z, to me, the comment of the year right here. He says he has the Angel Reese game.
19 points though. He's got a nice post game
and 11 boards. Yeah.
Yeah. He was. I mean, you saw he had some footwork in there. They look like LP. Yeah. JD Hill is who we're thinking of. Brandon, good memory, man.
JD Hill, yes, good call, Brandon. I think he's maybe an inch or two taller than JD Hill.
All right, we got a great question from Marcus White, which I'm very happy to answer. Coming down for the Stanford game from Nashville. Appreciate that. Glad you could support the team and hope you're having a good time. Where's the best place to post up from Hard Rock, and what time do you have to leave by due to traffic? So it's a night game, right? So it kind of depends when you're here. But the earlier, the better to get to that side because it's going to be Friday. It's going to be rush hour. So as you get closer to that 7 o'clock kick, it's Miami rush hour. So forget the game. People are just going back from work, which you don't see on a Saturday as much. What I would recommend, this is what we're going to be doing, is basically from 12 to 7, we are going to be right there. You see the scroll at the bottom at the Licking Miami Gardens, which we've been done for every home game. The Licking is 5 minutes tops, and it's literally a straight line from the Hard Rock Stadium. Very easy to get there. And if you go to what I would say, and this is what we do ourselves, but we recommend people to do for a night game like this, especially Friday where you got rush hour. Or sorry, this is Stanford. So this will be a Saturday. I apologize. But this goes for Louisville as well, which is a Friday, which we're going to be at. But you'll be at the Stanford game. But Louisville will be that Licking too. Night game. So same concept. If you go to the Licking, the top, Southern food, soul food restaurant in that area, hands down, just unbelievable. We eat it on the show. It's hard for us to do the show sometimes because we're just ordering and grubbing. Lamb chops, fried broccoli, collard greens, you name it, man. We're slamming it. Kids are having the chicken and waffles. Food's great. All the TVs are on, so you can watch whatever game you want to see. Service is incredible. There's an open bar, full drink. So what I recommend, get there earlier to eat. Let the traffic build up outside, because once you're in Miami Gardens, you don't have to worry about the traffic, and then head straight to the stadium. So that's where I would be on that one, Marcus White. But Pete, I cut you off on the work, so
Yeah,
keep it rolling.
I'll run through it real quick because I know you have to hop off here in a second. Dre Quinn, former Clemson commit, who Jason Taylor visited last week at Buford. The expectation is that he will be visiting Coral Gables next weekend for the Stanford game. So that's a huge development there potentially, D, just because, Miami thinks there's some good momentum. Having seen him last week, there's a connection between Jason Taylor and Quinn's trainer that I'm aware of. And, when a guy has some urgency to set up a visit, and that's what he's shown now, I think that's a great sign. So I think that there's some good momentum on that one. Interesting note here, D. We heard earlier in the season that Florida State was trying to make a move on Ashari Charles. He had actually set up a visit to go see them for the Bama game, I believe. Jason Taylor cut that off like pretty much right away. He shut down the recruitment. Alabama, within the last few weeks, tried to do something similar, and they tried to kind of reignite some interest there. He pretty much shut that down. Not pretty much. He shut that down. He's locked in with Miami. But just goes to show you how strong of a year Ashari Charles is having, that these schools continue to try to make their move at him.
No, he is a real player. Pass rushers are extremely valuable, as you know, Pete, and that's a good one. Productive, powerful, explosive. So Miami's got to hold on. Ethio appreciate you saying, I'm curious about Tony Rojas, the linebacker at Penn State. I know Miami wanted him a few years back. You did as well. He's a stud. They'll try. I don't know if he jumps in the portal. I don't know. Miami's trying to win championships, and obviously they're not dealing with kids that are not in the portal, but if he does jump in the portal, I'd imagine he's the type of guy would be after. Marcus, shout out to your son on his first Canes game. Great time to get to your first Canes game. And if anyone wants to sign up and potentially win, Malachi and CJ Daniels signed football, top of other benefits. Remember, sign up for the Miami HTS. That's the Hurricane Team Store, Miami HTS mailing list right there. No charge. You get 15% off your first order. Also, you have promo code Insight20 for 20% off an order as well. So you got plenty of options to get the discounts, and you can just go to the store. They're located across the street from the University of Miami in person. But if you're not in person, Miami HTS. If you sign up for the mailing list, you get the first word on all kinds of new stuff. So you'll always be rocking the new gear and all kinds of exclusive deals, etc. at MiamiHTS.com.
So a couple more things here, D, before I wrap it up. Sorry, I had a few more notes here.
Give it to him.
D-line wise, everyone wants to know about Tank Jones, Nolan Wilson, Bryce Perry Wright. I reported in the Discord weeks ago that Miami was still involved there, and as you've talked about, they're certainly still in the mix. A&M hasn't given him reasons to flip at this point, obviously, but they're around there. Obviously, teammates with Dre Quinn, but with Nolan Wilson, there's a chance he visits next weekend again for Stanford. So that would be a return, second trip for him this year. And obviously he's done this season, I should say, and he's had some other trips to Miami as well. I see someone asking for the link of the Discord. I'll drop it again here for you guys. But Tank Jones, obviously we've been talking about that one a lot. The line of communication is very much open there and has been very good. Like, there hasn't been anything that says that he's not still open to a move to Miami. But Oregon, again, has had a strong year. Obviously lost last week, but they're in a strong place as a program. And I think something to watch there, D, we talk about it with guys like earlier in the cycle, Tristan Keys with Adidas, coming into play. There could be a Nike situation there with him in terms of NIL as well. So something to watch there. So, something popped up there last year with Elijah Rushing, 5-star edge, that I think helped secure his commitment last year. So we'll see, how that one plays out. Oregon does not want to lose a 5-star defensive lineman. But Miami's pushing hard there, man. I think we both thought for a while that there was a decent chance of that happening. And I still think there is. Jamar Owens, safety. You reported yesterday he'd be visiting this weekend, and I've heard that things continue to trend pretty good there for Miami. Indiana commit, but Miami has given him a lot to think about. Atlanta area kid. He has some ties here with John Tavius Wyman, and and Cortez Redding, right? So there's some good traction there. And then Blake Stewart, you mentioned him as well yesterday. A few weeks back, he was still kind of resistant to a flip, but I think he's opened up now, D, with Clemson's season going the way it is, with the way Miami's continued to recruit him. So some good movement there, I think, at the safety spot.
Hearing the same thing on Blake Stewart. Keep chipping away. Pete, post that Discord link there in the comments, because we had a lot of questions. People wanting to sign up for that work Discord with Peter Ariz. And yeah, man, a lot of good news. And I think that's going to keep getting better and better.
And I have one last thing to talk about here, D, before we wrap the show. Almost 3,000 on. Awesome support here on a Wednesday. And again, we'll be going live this afternoon as well. But we talk so much about O-line play, here at the University of Miami, and the origin of it at Columbus, right? And you can't tell that story without Coach Fred Foyo. He was the offensive line coach for Mario Cristobal and Alex Mirabal back in their playing days. And obviously those two are doing what they're doing at Miami now, where the O-line has become best unit on the field in the country. The toughness, discipline, love for the game all traces back to Coach Foyo. Coach Foyo was not just about football. He loved his community. He loved the Canes. There's a reason why this event that I'm talking about here is on a Saturday happening on a Friday here, because you have the game going on. You can watch the game out here at the event. This is the Fred Foyo Brew Fest this Friday, October 18th, from 6 to 10 p.m. at Columbus. It's a family-friendly event, live music, food, kids' activities, unlimited beer and bites, and hundreds of explorers across generations. Tickets are $40 for adults, all you can eat and drink, $10 for kids, in true Coach Foyo fashion. Adding some fun this year. Show up in a lederhosen. You get 50% off admission, and you get there's also a best dress competition. Winners taking home 2 Delta Airlines vouchers. So come celebrate a great man, a great community, and one of the fastest growing alumni events at Columbus. Again, man, this guy was a legend, and he led the way for guys like Mario and Alex Mirabal. So great event. We talked about this, promoted it last year as well. I was out there last year. So get out there, man. Support a great cause.
And you get to use the lederhosen in your closet there, Pete.
Yes.
You're waiting to rock it.
Exactly.
Awesome, man. Well, great show today. And it's just the first one. We got another show coming up with Mike Ryan here at 2 p.m. I'm going to head out to the scrimmage now, watch our Canes play some baseball. And, man, really fun show. Appreciate all you guys for supporting. Remember to like and subscribe. Go Canes.
Go Canes.